Alright, here we are in game number one of this losers semi-final match in the Alpha Navigators Cup Season 2. These are the grand finals of Season 2. And this is going to be starring here in our blue Aftermath's Snoxtar. And his opponent, also from Team Aftermath, is TheoRy. And these two, their tournament life is on the line here in this series. If the win, they can go on to the losers bracket final. If they lose, they are out of the series. And we are going to watch an IVI here. So we have both players opening with double production. It's Conclave into Vault for Snoxstar. And same thing, Conclave into Vault for TheoRy. So we have mirror builds. A little bit of Hexen on Hexen violence there, but not too much real damage done. Only white health, shroud skin damage, as I like to call it. And so that means Snoxstar's Hexen is going to go out with a little bit less of that shroud skin, where we have a fully healthed up Hexen for TheoRy. That's just going to make a slight impact in their creeping. We see TheoRy is probably going to use that same creeping standard that he's done before, where he splits his gaunts. And indeed he does. And let's see here, we got this slightly, we use micro for Snoxstar instead. He uses one gaunt to this is sort of my way of doing it, because I haven't really learned TheoRy's way yet, where you just kind of micro your gaunts to try and keep them alive. Same thing with your Fiend. And he clears his camp too. It looks like TheoRy's just a little bit ahead. A little bit ahead, and you know, who knows if it's because of that creeping difference. Now, what's that brute doing? That brute got all stuck in the back there and finally said, fine, I'm going to fight my way out. And the brute is doing all the tanking here. Does get manually split so that there's Shroud Skin on the Fiends, but one of those Fiends does go down to the Shadow Demon. And it's just quicker creeping so far from TheoRy, and now Snoxstar's gone slightly different too. He's opted to micro his brute away to get that healing cabbage to keep it alive, and that's just going to preserve his troops a little bit better. Going to have fewer fiends, of course. And now the extra fiends, that's DPS on the side of TheoRy, and that means he's just even faster clearing his camps. So he's cleared his 3 camps, and now it looks like he's going to come and try and put pressure down here. We finally see that brute getting split here. Good micro, but it's fiends on fiends, and it's the gaunts from Snoxstar able to put down a little extra DPS there. So Snoxstar wins that battle, and TheoRy retreats back to his side of the map. Looks like he's going to maybe do some more creeping. Keep on that creeping. This is still fairly early game to be creeping this camp. I would be worried about creeping this camp. Although he might glitch it out with his gaunts. Nope, he chooses just to use his brute as a tank. A couple fiends go down as well. But basically just using those Luminite units to take the hits to preserve his gaunts and the Ethereum that he spent on them. Ooh, there are some fiends here trying to focus down the shrine, and the shrine's not quite on the map yet, and the shrine does go down. It does not get cancelled. That would have been a huge loss if it had been cancelled. And we see it's already at a little bit more than 2/3 its life. So again, permanent damage in an infernal structure, so that's never going to come back. It's a ritual chamber up. Plague axes, yes, plague axes on the way here. And is that a ritual chamber there? Yes, plague axe is also on the way. A little bit faster timing for TheoRy. So TheoRy has been just a little bit ahead in a lot of the things this match so far. These fiends are going to try and take this tower, whereas this tower is trying to be taken by a fiend that gets cleaned up by a brute. Lots of good micro here. Splitting fiends, trying to take towers. That's a permanent effigy there. Okay, so on the one hand, Snoxstar split his units and has been able to be annoying, and then TheoRy has also mostly been moving his whole army around to deal with that. Although in this case he did send a single brute up here to deal with this fiend. And it looks like he is moving into position to creep again. There's a third base going down for Snoxtar, and almost the exact same timing for TheoRy. We have a Scout Skull going in again, almost the exact same timing. So these two are pretty evenly matched, but also they might train together, or they might kind of practice. They seem to be playing very similar styles right here. And even we see Snoxtar moving his units over here, and part of the reason is he noticed the angle at which the skull came from. He knew that TheoRy was up there, and it's actually Snoxtar who chops down these trees. It's very curious how these changing meta, we saw this in an earlier game too. Instead of letting the opponent come and chop these trees, they've chopped their own trees. And it's Snoxtar trying to be annoying by taking these camps. Although it's also, we have the same thing going on by TheoRy. So TheoRy and Snoxtar in a cat and mouse game here over camps, sending fiends all over the map. Who can micro the most? Sending a skull to take a camp too. And not really combating, although here we go. We got a Nightfall infestation from both of them on the back ranks. And it's a lot of infests on all these units. Everyone's infested up. We're going to just see how the snowball turns. Snoxtar's pushing into this choke. Micro from TheoRy to move his units back, trying to get those units to retarget so that maybe some of the weak ones do not go down. It looks like this is going to be in TheoRy's favor now. We're starting to see the numbers on his side. And yeah, Gaunt's going down, although there are reinforcing brutes showing up at the bottom here for Snoxtar. Snoxtar has to retreat. He's going back to that choke in his trees. Unfortunately, it's not in the best position. He has to run around to get there. Luckily, there is a summoned Shroudstone there to scare TheoRy away, but TheoRy is emboldened, and it looks like he's going to rotate, although where is he headed? I thought he might go to the natural. We already see an army there. And good, maybe it was just positioning he was looking for here, and he did get some good positioning. Some of his Gaunts are brave and move right up to the front line there. Chasing Snoxtar into his Theorem patches. A couple of Gaunts caught off. And yeah, another Imp also caught. Now this is not looking good for Snoxtar, as this army is going to push into his main. There are more separated army units over here, and for Snoxtar, he really needs to get all his army grouped up together. Another Nightfall infestation going pretty good land. Although again, still a lot of that is on those rear units, and those rear units are likely going to heal up from that infest before they die, so they won't have to spawn fiends. But that's going to be GG from Snoxtar in game number 1. Boom, we're back at it. There we go. I have to do that at least once per cast, just to keep you guys on your toes, and actually just to keep me on my toes. So my apologies for that. We did see some skirmishes, but I forgot to switch you over. You know, I do try and make that initial Hexen on Hexen stuff as exciting as possible, when really it's just a couple of scout units trying to take pot shots at each other. But we do see that TheoRy's Hexen is kind of low here, and that's as a result of that. And it did interrupt his creeping style a little bit. He couldn't tank with her quite as much as he does normally. We see more micro coming out as a result. And it looks like it's now Snoxtar who's had the advantage. What's going on here? Is there a healing cabbage back there? There must be. I see a little splat of blood. But Snoxtar's the one getting a little bit ahead in the creeping this time. And that looks like it's because we saw a much faster shrine from TheoRy. We still have a little imp here wishing he was a shrine. Just one day I'll grow up to be a shrine. And is it now? Yes, it is. Today is the day. Finally. My dream has come true. And again, Snoxtar a little head in the creeping. Lightning legs already heading to the center of the map. And TheoRy's gonna do the creeping on his speed camp. He's gonna activate his own lightning legs. And where's he gonna go? Oh, he's heading to the energy camp. He's just gonna let the vision camp go. And maybe he's keeping his eye on the amps as they're being taken, and he kind of knows that he was behind and he might not be the first one there. He might still want to go there to skirmish a bit, but he's decided to opt for the guaranteed income and take the energy camp. Meanwhile, Snoxtar's gone ahead and sent some fiends into the main, or into the natural now. They killed an imp, and now they're getting some serious DPS on this shrine. I do not know if Theory's units are going to be able to make it back here in time to save this. It's already at half-life. And, yeah, okay, so the fiends do turn to fight, and indeed they do save it. So Theory does manage to get back. It's not with all of his army, but now the rest of his army does show up and is going to try and corner those fiends. And can he get the kill? Yeah, he does get the kill. Okay, so what did we see there? We saw one imp go down, and then just a ton of damage on this shrine. We'll have to keep an eye on it, see if Snoxtar tries to take advantage of this. Another quick fiend run by may be all it takes to finish that off. Or maybe some sprigs. Some sprigs could fly over there. There's different ways he could take a strike on that and try and wipe it out. And again, just delay that base for as long as it will take for a replacement shrine to be put in there. His shrine's up as well. We see Ritual Chamber. We don't see an immediate try and tech switch, say, to get Spriggans. So he is going to stick on his plan, which is the Gaunt tech. Now we have Gaunt versus Brute, Gaunt versus Brute. There's just a few more Brutes for Theory here. And it looks like maybe a few more Gaunts for Snoxtar. We'll see how that plays out. For the moment, it's Snoxtar who doesn't really want to engage into the Brutes and have those Brutes be on top of his Gaunts. But as his reinforcement shows up, he hopes that his Gaunt numbers are going to be enough. But it turns out not quite, as his Brutes get taken out first. And he's still being pursued, still being chased down. More, there we go. And one of his Brutes shows up. And now it's Theory who's deciding, I'm going to retreat back to the safety of the Shroud. And yeah, he gets a permanent effigy there, so he can soak up his Shroud skin. Takes that camp. And looks like it's going to move to go take the other Luminite camp as well. So Snoxtar is back at base. He split his units to try and defend if he needs to. I think he's worried that Theory was going to continue his push here. But Theory's going to stick on creeping. Looks like he's going to head to his own Luminite. That means Snoxtar's getting a little behind here, I think, in terms of creep income, but also he hasn't put down his third base yet, and we do see the third base is just being started. Okay, here's an imp trying to get to the third base, but Theory's a little bit ahead of him. He already had a Gaunt there. Brute has to come and deal with that Gaunt. He is going to at least try and get a fiend out of it. But the Gaunt decides to retreat. Oh, no, the Gaunt's going to go down. Okay, so finally the third's going to go, but look at how delayed that is. We already have half-finished shrine up for Theory. So Theory is going to get a little bit of an advantage from that, just from that one Gaunt. Now we have a single fiend. What are you doing? He's just scouting, I guess. And still, I'm wondering what the play is for Snoxtar here. He sent a couple Gaunts down here. What? Okay, there it is. I was like, he must have something up his sleeve. He does have a Twilight Spire rallied, so it looks like he's going to try and put some units out of there. I don't see a Shadow Cleft, so it doesn't look like he is going for Spriggans necessarily. So we'll see. Maybe that's just for tech. Like I mentioned, this shrine is still low, and he could just get a small strike force of Spriggans and take it out. Or for that matter, he could go for dive bombing Shadow Flyers. That's another way he could go with that, and probably take it out with a few. We see Theory moving out on the map. Now what's his plan? Is he just going to retake some of these camps or try and be a little bit aggressive here. He does have a slight advantage when it comes to supply. And getting on top of these gaunts, he's... Ooh, I was going to say he's going to get one, but he didn't. He's got a single Shadow Flyer with him. And here comes a mag. So he does have a little bit of a mid-game mixture here, where the mag's going to be threatening to some of these tier 1 units. The mag just using its trample so those fiends will leave it alone. Ooh, a Nightfall Infestation going down on the mag, and the mag's trapped. He's going to get a surround. Actually, not quite a full surround. He is going to get away, soaking up a little Shroud Skin on that Shroud there. A couple Brutes in pursuit. The TheoRy's walking all the way back to his main. That doesn't... He could have turned to fight. Got a little leg spike there. Apologies. Second Meg joins the army, and Snoxtar's in retreat. Snoxtar really didn't have much there, but... Oh, wow, sorry, my bad. What's going on here? This looks like there was a drop or something? What? How? Maybe Fiend run by. Must have been Fiends. Couldn't even see what it was, just blood and guts remained. Maybe it was just Gaunt's punishing a few imps in the back. Weren't working. But that did distract Snoxtar's army there for a moment, and it doesn't look like TheoRy's going to be aggressive. He is just trying to take a little bit of a lead, keep these camps, keep the advantage he gets from those camps. We haven't seen a fourth base go down for him yet, but now there might be an engagement. We've got speedy little Gaunts, but there's a Nightfall that gets whiffed as Snoxtar dodges it, and now Snoxtar might want to engage again. But there's 3 mags here, and 3 mags are going to be pretty dangerous against this comp. Now, these mags are all just on auto. They got aggroed, and we see a couple weavers here try and deal with this. The mag's going to, again, in retreat, use his trample. That's going to try and keep the fiends off of him. There are other mags there that could do the same, but they did not. And again, we have TheoRy in retreat, and I think that was maybe because he saw the weavers. I'm not sure. Or maybe he just doesn't want to throw. We see a dropship here. I think that maybe is what we saw earlier, was a drop that maybe teleported out. And now it's Snoxtar getting a little bit more of a forward position. He's able to take the vision camp. And TheoRy's going to just try and take the speed camp again to get that advantage, or at least come back even with Snoxtar, who has control of his speed camp. And now what? Okay, so Fiend, that's a little Scout Fiend there. And now there's a little bit of a battle over creeps. We'll see what happens here, if there's going to be a conflict here. We noticed that the dropships have picked up 2 Magmadons, so that's in a way to try and counter the Weavers a little bit. These fiends are trying to run by, in the sense that the Weavers want to get a lash on a mag and pull them in. Instead, maybe the mags will be dropped in the back line on a flank and try and get their trample off before Weavers can lash them. I wonder if there's also been the stun upgrade for the Harbinger. Let's see. No, we haven't. Seismic Slam it's called, so we haven't got that one yet. Now we see a 4th base for TheoRy, but there's also a 4th base for Snoxtar, so Snoxtar is starting to catch up just ever so slightly in terms of the eco. And maybe this is sort of testament to TheoRy not pushing in earlier when maybe he had a bit more of an advantage. See Hellborn being added. Do they have their Molten Touch yet? Not quite yet. Is there tier 3? No, we're on Greater Shrine. Has a Shadow Cleft been added? Yeah, nope, that's a Hellforge. Ooh, my bad. Sorry about that. Okay, and so now we might get a little engaged. Another Nightfall that goes down. This one's not super great, but we have Weaver on Weaver. And that's partly what TheoRy wants, is Weavers to start lashing Weaver. Ooh! Oh, those Shadow Flyers almost got the Harbinger, but it landed just in time to offload those Mags. The Mags do get focused down inside that mass of Weavers, though. But there's just so many Gaunts here. And it looks like that's going to be the tail of this battle. So many Gaunts trying to get the flank, trying to get on top of Snoxtar's Gaunts and get those cheap kills on the low health units so they can turn into Fiends. And immediately that's going to be a GG from Snoxtar. Alright, here we are in game number 3 of this best of 5. This is once again going to be Aftermath Snoxtar in the blue Infernal, and his opponent, the red Infernal, is Aftermath's TheoRy. Again, this is going to be a team kill. One of these will advance into the losers final, and the other one is going to be done with their Alpha Navigators Cup life. They will collect the 4th place prize, and the other will go on to maybe win the whole thing, but might collect 1st, 2nd, or 3rd depending on their performance in the rest of the series. Waiting to see what happens in that winners bracket final. MSRM up 1 game already. So the Hexen's going across the map trying to see what kind of expo timing there is. It looks like here that TheoRy's just looking to see, hey, did you take that double Luminite? And that was it. Whereas Snoxtar, oh yeah, Snoxtar's also teleported back. So they both teleport back early. The thing about this map is the long rush distance means that trying to get your scout up there, well, if it's your Hexen scout, I should say, it's an actual scout. They're speedy, but your Hexen, she's slow. And if you really want to get that scout and then have her get back in time so she can start using skulls when you're creeping so you can get these fiends like we're seeing here, you don't have a lot of time. Yeah, you walk her up there, you see what you can see, and then you teleport her back, and that's what we saw here. You didn't spend a lot of time. Now, when you're scouting in an Infernal, you might not need a lot of extra time. You're usually just looking for production buildings or a shrine. But when you are scouting, say, a Celestial, you probably need to take that extra time to go and see what extra bases are you taking. Did you mine some Therium? Things like that. So Snoxtar creeping speed camp first, then going to health camp. That's kind of a more standard opening creep style. But we see the opposite order for TheoRy. He went health camp first in the middle and is now creeping the speed camp. And we see a lot of units here right now from TheoRy and no shrine down. So I think we saw this in an earlier matchup too. We saw it in one of the earlier matches with High. I think one of the ones he lost actually. And he's gonna clear his Vision Tower while we're also getting Vision Tower cleared by Snoxtar on the other side. And now we see a shrine going down. There's already a farm there to defend against Fiends. Remember last game we did see Fiends come running into the base right about now. So that might be his answer there. And he's already working on Luminite camp, whereas Snoxtar is looking to be a little aggressive, and we'll see how this plays out, because Snoxtar's Fiends are going to move right in here and try and focus this down. But there are Fellhogs here this time. What are the Fellhogs going to do? They are going to be a little annoying, but this base is not going to... You have to cancel it. Are we going to get canceled? That was not a cancel. Oh no, maybe it was. I didn't see the imp spawn out there, so it did look like it was a cancel. And it's just TheoRy, unlike me, he's got the timing where he can wait till the very last second to cancel it. Whereas if I try that, I'm going to press the wrong button or something and it's just going to die. So was that worthwhile? It's not super clear. I mean, he did delay it. Lost a few fiends in that. I think delaying the eco might be worthwhile. And remember, Snoxtar's trying to get back in this game. Or this match, I mean. He's already lost 2 games in this series. He needs to win this one. So it's worth taking some risks. And he did get the cancel, but the because he got the cancel, this shrine does not have any lingering damage on it like we saw in that earlier match. Not that it ended up coming into play later on. So, as is somewhat common on an Isle of Dread map, we are seeing more creeping. Isle of Dread is kind of the creep map. You creep your side, you take all your camps, you build a couple bases, and then at some point you smash your death ball into the death ball of your opponent. Again, it's just partly due to how big the map is. So anytime you make the decision, hey, I'm going to move across the map, it takes you a minute, and in that minute your opponent can build more units. You can too, of course, but your units spawn on your side of the map. And so it just really increases the defender's advantage because of the rush distance. Meaning if you're going to push right into a base, you kind of want to have the unit advantage, the supply advantage, the eco advantage, all the advantages you can have to make that worthwhile. One way we do see some encounters on the map is denials of third, and we do see a third base going here. Not a third base yet down for TheoRy, and it looks like he's just going to get more Therium over here. That's in his name, right? He's TheoRy, he loves Therium. So he's trying to take that Therium. Well, there was a Fiend that was going to try and take this camp, and he's already got 2 Fiends there. So remember, in earlier matches, there's lots of Fiend on Fiend sort of combats fighting over these camps, and so far it looks like TheoRy definitely has a little bit of the advantage in this game. His metagame's just a little bit ahead. When the Fiend comes running, he's already got a Fiend there, so he does have a Fiend hanging out here too. He could put one there if he wanted, but he hasn't yet, and again he's got 2 Fiends up here. So he's got Fiends camped out at the camps that he really wants. Usually you're fighting over the resource camps. And now where is he going? He does have his third base now going down. But the third base is already up for Snoxtar, and he has cut down the trees back there. Like, that's a lot of trees to cut down, but he has a mag, so he probably stomped them down instead of cutting them. And maybe Snoxtar, because he's just been a little bit ahead in the eco, might be... I might say he's got a little advantage here. He is neck and neck when it comes to supply. Let's do a quick check here. No upgrades going down right now. We have brute upgrades on the way for Snoxtar. He does have a good number of brutes. His mag is here. Does not yet have the demon hoof tremors. The mag's just having fun. He's like, are you guys creeping? I'm here to stomp trees. I want to stomp the trees. Ooh, and we do see this Harbinger showing up, scooping up 8 gaunts, and is out on the map. So we're going to keep an eye on that. That's probably going to be a drop at some point in one of those bases. But at the same time, we see TheoRy moving out. These look like, yeah, fully upgraded gaunts. It's not clear if there's any upgrades on this brutes, because I think they're still bugged out. Yeah, the brute upgrade is just starting though. Oh my goodness, sorry for that bug yet again. And our Harbinger is just chilling. Maybe the Harbinger came here and it's like, oh, there's nothing here for me to kill. What should I do? Gonna kill one. And then focus. Nope. Ooh. Scooped up the Fiend. I think you left the wrong thing, my friend. Usually you... Oh, and then just teleports home. Oh, because there are Shadow Flyers out on the map. So... that's like the least effective drop you can have where you actually got some damage done. So he killed one imp, but then also actually sacrificed a gaunt. Probably not a fair trade. So Snoxtar is going to try and battle these fiends that have been in control of most of the towers of the map. And does capture this one. For a second I didn't see that gaunt there, and I thought, is he really just going to leave it behind? Now what's this fiend doing? That's an annoying little buddy. Just chilling out. Probably going to get some scouting done. So again, TheoRy's been in control of these camps, but he's been a little bit behind when it comes to his actual macro. His bases have been behind. We already have 4th base going down for snoxtar. And TheoRy's going to have to push out maybe and take advantage of what he's got before snoxtar can get too much ahead. Snoxtar also taking a 5th base now. So again, oh, I guess I didn't mention that TheoRy has taken this base, which is kind of a 4th base. It's his therium base. But when you take this double therium and you add it to this double luminate, we're basically at two full bases there. So he's on 4 full bases. And maybe Snoxtar's in that same region in terms of base count. It's hard to fully count. We're on 6 mines plus 1, 2, 3, 4 patches, therium patches. He's just got a mine advantage. Although we now see TheoRy also putting down his 4th base as they continue to creep these camps. This camp is again in TheoRy's control. So his ability to just separate off some units and send them out there, that's that mechanical skill that he's showing off here to be able to stay in control of these. Because that's just actions he needs to take out of his control. We all can think, hey, I should send a fiend over there and capture that camp. But then to actually do that, and then, if there's 3 fiends there when you get there, to then think, oh, I should send 4 fiends over there instead of just giving up or whatever it might be. That's what he's been able to do. Now, did this camp respawn? Yes, it did. And now we might be getting a clash of the armies, because these armies are moving down to take that out. Although, for a second I thought Snoxtar was going to be coming down this right lane, but he's going up the left-hand side. They both might be just thinking the same thing right now, which is I want to do some denial. Although, no, TheoRy's moving back, and actually I was wrong. It looks like Snoxtar here is focused on just retaking the camp. So here we are at the 2nd respawn of the camps, I think. Yeah, so we're up onto the 3rd level. And still with no real major conflict between them. This base has gone down, and again we're going to get a drop from Snoxtar. He splits all of his brutes into fiends and tries to focus fire down the shrine. Now, one cool thing about that move is the fiends have additional DPS due to their upgrades, I believe. No, actually they don't have upgrades anymore for that one. That one's just permanent. When they are split, they have higher attack speed, or higher movement speed, and higher attack speed, I guess, is the upgrade. Let's see. Again, it doesn't tell us that the upgrades are done. Let's go see. Thought there might have been conflict. Let's go see the upgrades here. So yeah, the brute upgrade must be done, and when I go check one of these brutes, it does not tell me that the upgrade is done. So there is still a bug there. But it does tell us what they do. So the first one here gives you an extra fiend and an armor of 10, and it's the second one that then the attack speed. So I was wrong. The attack speed buff comes from the tier 3 upgrade. It is the movement speed buff that the fiends get automatically. So that base went down, and now Snoxtar's coming back with his whole army, and now we're going to get an actual conflict here. This is a huge battle. Both sides have Molten Touch fiends. There just seems to be a lot more Gaunts here on Snoxtar's side, and he's the one fighting on Shroud, at least at the beginning there. So many units are unable to actually battle here at the moment. So many of TheoRy's Gaunts in the back are just looking for a way to get into this battle, whereas a lot of Snoxtar's Gaunts are able to get some DPS here. Oh, we do see the Clutch Dragon just showing up on TheoRy's side. Is it going to be enough? Now there's going to be double fiends spawning on his side. But at the same time, we get a dragon showing up for Snoxtar. This is the hugest IVI battle. We've macroed all game here. But do Snoxtar's Gaunts even die? No, they don't. That is going to be GG from TheoRy. Okay, here we are into game number 4. In the blue Infernal yet again is Aftermath Snoxtar. And his opponent and buddy and teammate is Aftermath TheoRy in the red Infernal. And this is going to be on Furious Resolve. A big map. Just like the last one, we may get some more of that macro into deathball play. We'll see. But we might also get some early aggression. However, spawns here are cross, which means that they, it's even further rush distance. And look at these Hexen. They just hate each other. TheoRy's Hexen just on auto attack. Snoxtar trying to micro his Hexen, but to no advantage. And then Snoxtar goes and eats the cabbage while we saw TheoRy's Hexen scoot back home, do her little Macarena dance, and get herself back home. And she's already heading out to do some creeping. Now those Gaunts, they're like, where should we exit this conclave? We are rallied over there. Why don't we exit up this corner and walk all the way around? Little quality of life things like that might really improve the game. I mean, it's not really gonna change the outcomes of matches, but it's little stuff like that we just wish would happen the way we would expect it to happen. And again, standard creeping style from TheoRy so far. We've seen this in all his games with his Gaunts helping with the tanking. Meanwhile, Snoxtar also out here creeping, but looks like he added a brute to his pack. And do we have a brute added here? No. We do have 3 fiends though, coming from some skulls. Here come some brutes. 2 brutes actually. And they're headed all the way across the map to go for a speed cap. So this is an aggressive creep jacking style, trying to get these creeps before Snoxtar gets to them. Meanwhile, Snoxtar's in the middle of the map. And, ooh, this is not going to be good for these rallying brutes. One brute gets taken out for free. Another brute's going to be free fodder. He's just a scout brute, yeah. So he does get split and he gets run away. And now, oh, no. Yikes, no. Oh, no. Hexen goes down. Sorry, I'm just emoting there. The Hexen got caught away by the creeps, and I mean, sometimes that's a GG, and that's TheoRy claiming that he's got some pretty bad lag, which is not great. And they're going to discuss whether they want to remake, and good sportsmanship from TheoRy. As one would expect, TheoRy is a great sport all the time. And he's not going to try and make anything harder on everybody. He wants a fair match, of course, and he wishes he wasn't lagging, but he's not going to blame that on Snoxtar and take it out on Snoxtar. Instead, he's going to come down here and try and get a nice battle here. There is really equal numbers almost, and some Gaunts pop out, and those Gaunts they actually get picked off. But he is going to push this army back for now. And actually doing an alright job, picking up another brute. He loses his own brute. Now I'm getting a little bit of the lag. And yeah, forcing these units back. So I don't know if he really wants to chase these units all the way home. Yeah, there's still a Hexen in that group, and that adds DPS. And the Fiends, yeah, the only problem for TheoRy here is after taking those early losses, he is quite a bit behind. He is going to have to kind of all in now, and I think that's what we're seeing. More units being added. And despite getting some lag, he is trying to micro his units here. Pops an effigy. He doesn't really have the numbers here, and that's just going to be a GG. These two are the winningest of the Tank Season 2 weekly tournaments. That is, I think Snoxtar won 3 of them, and I think TheoRy won 2 of them. So not only did they both win a lot of those tourneys, but they played against each other in finals and semis throughout those weekly tournaments, so they know each other very well. And of course, when you play opponents a lot, you develop almost a personal meta. So in general, in a matchup, you might know your Infernal versus Infernal, and you have a certain meta game that you play, assuming your opponent's going to play meta as well. But when you're playing someone you know very well, you know that, oh, they have slight variations in their meta. They have slight ways that they play differently, and that means you can actually play to your opponent. And certainly these two know each other very well, and we might see this playing into some of their games. Now, once again, TheoRy doing his fairly standard style here, and he's managed to creep out his health camp, but it's Snoxtar who goes speed camp first, and due to the nature of these spawns, that is an advantage for Snoxtar's spawn, as he's closer to the speed camp and he grabbed it first. And now TheoRy, if he wants to get a speed camp, has to go all the way across the map, or he has to go steal that speed camp, and we might see this fiend do that right now. And Snoxtar's cleaned out his health camp. Actually, one fiend is going into the main, another one's trying to steal the speed camp, while the rest of his units are going to try and start creeping here. So one fiend does scout out here, sees the production, sees the timing of the upgrades, or no upgrades yet, rather. And a slight little skirmish around the vision camp, but then they both just retreat to their side, neither of them going for the vision camp. And the Shadow Mastiff's just trying to beat down the farm. Look for a second there like TheoRy might try it. Actually, he's being very indecisive. He's like, energy camp, vision camp, energy camp, vision camp. And just as he decides it's vision camp is right when Snoxtar shows up again too. And again, Snoxtar just aggroes the demons, so they'll attack the farm. And that means TheoRy needs to engage here. He snags one of the shadow demons, but he's very cautious here. Early game engages like this can spell the whole game. This is game number 5. He's going to take the shadow demon while his farm's going to be focused, and the farm does go down, and so that is a good win there for Snoxtar, because he has momentarily supply blocked TheoRy as a result of that. Imagine TheoRy quickly put down another farm in his home. Yeah, there is one. And it looks like he's waiting to put down a base. There we go. So his base just put down, but Snoxtar's base timing is much faster. And Snoxtar has a goal here to know that. So he knows that he has the advantage in terms of eco. And TheoRy actually has just a slight advantage when it comes to the creeping here. He did get that vision camp and the energy camp, so he's just a little ahead. Now Snoxtar did get the speed camp, and that's an advantage. And it's interesting to see that TheoRy's going for this health camp before the other speed camp. And let's see, we have Ritual Chamber back home for him, just going down. Is there a Ritual Chamber up yet? I think I saw it here. Okay, there's the Ritual Chamber. Looks like maybe a little slower timing. Yeah, a little slower timing, so we might get Plague Axes up first for TheoRy, but probably not going to be in, with too much advantage out of that. That timing is not going to gain him much unless he does a push. And a couple Lightning Leg Fiends in there going to do some damage to kill an imp, actually. Full on imp kill. Now we've got the speed camp taken and going for the other health camp. So TheoRy's trying to get ahead here in terms of getting the advantage through creeping, trying to take the whole map. The speed camp retaken by this brute. And he now has the benefit of 3 health camps. 2 fiends still out. I guess they killed a couple imps and then they ran away. One of them trying to take the vision camp. It's going to be unfortunately cleaned up. And the other one going for this health camp on the other side. And it's still just creeping from TheoRy. Interestingly, Snoxtar has stayed at home. Just building up his army and staying in a defensive position, probably checking up. And we did see this in an earlier game as well, where TheoRy was more active on the map, doing the creeping, while Snoxtar sort of set up a defensive position at home. And I think that was on Ruination, maybe that was game 1. That went to TheoRy's favor, so we'll see if that pattern continues here. This Fiend over here still claiming that health camp, and now actually we do see Snoxtar moving out on the map. He's moving towards the speed camp, but there is an army here, and interesting that TheoRy chose not to engage. He definitely has the advantage. He can take that. He's got like twice the number of brutes. Got a few extra. Okay, so maybe this was the reason. Knowing that those Shadow Massives were going to respawn, he didn't necessarily want to engage them. And actually, this might have been okay. So we do have Plague Axis for both. I thought he might have been waiting for his Plague Axis to finish as well. And I'm not sure if that engage necessarily went the way he wanted. He did get the Shadow Massives. He's got a nice surround on this Magmadon, and it's going to go down. And now he's got Concave plus reinforcements arriving on the top, on the high ground here. His own Magmadon showing up, and yeah, Snoxtar is going to have to retreat from this. There's a single brute in pursuit. What a hero. Watch out, buddy. Yeah, okay, he gets called back. And again, interesting that TheoRy is not going to try and push this. In fact, it looks like, yeah, he's got a smarter idea, and that is, I'm going to come around the back. Now look at this, Scout Farm. Scout Farm from Snoxtar. This is the point of the Scout Farm. While these units are doing DPS to this farm, he can get his army back into position. He's up on the high ground here. He even focuses down that effigy, and the farm's actually still alive. Farm's still alive. There is a Magmadon here as well. Ooh, huge Nightfall infestation going with the slow on all those units, forcing them to turn and fight. They do split up pretty well. A nice chomp from Snoxtar to keep his Magmadon alive for a second. Remember that chomp recharges all of the Shroud Skin by eating one of the fiends. Okay, and we saw that actually just happen again here for TheoRy. I think that was a slept-on skill for the first couple months. But more recently, at least in these high-level games, we've been seeing that chomp skill being used a lot to preserve Magmadons, keep them alive, allow them to become heroes in some situations. And also worth mentioning that Weavers also can chomp, something that I don't do enough. I should probably be doing as well. So if you're out there with your Infernal Army, remember that chomp skill. Single Brave Gaunt here trying to take out effigies. I really think TheoRy should push in again. This farm has 13 hit points. Oh, there's a sad face. Sad face up here. I don't know what that is about, but okay. And here we have that push. I'm glad he did go and finish this off. He kills that farm. There is a Summon Shroudstone here. Nightfall Infestation totally misses. Good retreat. Another effigy going down. A huge stomp's coming down here. Trying to get out on killing that Magmadon. Again, it doesn't stun the Magmadon, but it does do the trample damage. Another Mag coming out, trying to get some good splash with its trample, but good splits from these TheoRy's Gaunts. And another Mag right in the middle, but a nice lash to end its trample right in the middle. And these units are now right up inside the base. It's a little bit too chaotic spread here for TheoRy. He needs to regroup a little, and he does. Another Mag popping out. These Mags just keep popping out in their clutch. They have to force these Gaunts back. But after the trample is done, they do get focus fire down. We do see no more Mags left for TheoRy. And now, can he get rid of this Mag? If he can, he might be able to turn the tides. We see again an effigy focus, which is smart because it means that the Gaunts have to pull forward. Ooh, huge Nightfall Infestation. Major trample. Look at all those fiends. This is going to be a huge advantage for Snoxtar. TheoRy has to turn and fight these fiends. And now all of these infested Gaunts are going to turn into Fiends as well. So all of that tide turning with that amazing Nightfall infestation. And these poor units on move command trying to get out of there, all getting sacrificed. Oh my goodness. Wow. What a huge turn of the tides there for Snoxstar with that Nightfall infestation. And then the Mag getting those sweet tramples down. And we saw all those Gaunts just turning into Fiends. And now look at this. The supply advantage of 20 for Snoxstar. He really could have pushed out there, but I think he doesn't want to throw. He had he was back on his heels, and those clutch Magmadons popping out, and it's also great when they pop out right on top of your opponent's army. So it comes right out of the vault, and that's where the Gaunts are standing. So maybe worth noting when you're in an Infernal's base. You don't stand necessarily next to the vault unless you're, focus firing it down. And what is the answer that we get from TheoRy? Oh, there's a drop in his back, so this is not looking good. He does summon a Shroudstone there. Snoxstar forgets to pick up his Gaunts there with the drop. And it's going to try and get in the main, but a Weaver teleports into the main. And I think what Snoxstar is going to find here is there's no fourth base. And that's probably going to be good news for him. He gets over here, sees no fourth base, and teleports out. Meanwhile, his army was out here clearing the Therium camp. I do think the advantage is in Snoxstar's favor now. And TheoRy does need to come back with some kind of interesting play here now. The TheoRy that I know he doesn't go down without a fight, and he has many ways to drag a game out, like a game out like this where he took a bad engage. He knows his army is not as tough. He's going to have to spend some time getting his macro up, get on top of the eco, get ahead again, and he'll often do that with some harass play. So we'll see if he tries to do some drops of his own. We'll see if he maybe goes for some Spriggan. They might be a valuable harass. We do see a Twilight Spire just finishing here. So we'll see what TheoRy tries to do to get back in this. He's now about 40 supply behind. And, ooh, there's already a dragon out for Snoxstar. That's actually bad news. I think we're still on Greater Shrine. Oh, no. The Twilight Spire finished, so the Elder Shrine was triggered right away. And TheoRy does have the bank, so he is just waiting to try and get that. To try and get the dragon out as well. Now those 3 Gaunts were thrown away, but what they were able to do was scout a little bit the size of this army, what its composition is, and again, the advantage right now is for Snoxstar. 4th base up, 5th base just going down. And oh, I missed here, but this base got taken out, it looks like, or denied by a drop maybe, or some Gaunts. I thought we saw this go down before, and there were some Gaunts coming up there, so maybe I'm mistaken that. But a new 4th base going down for TheoRy over there, while Snoxstar's just trying to get more ahead. So he's up to about 50 ahead now in terms of his supply. And a single Fiend over here being annoying, but there are Fellhogs there to take it out. And TheoRy maybe is making the decision, okay, I have to get out on the map here. Does he have his dragon yet? He has the funds. I don't see it out on the map. Not yet. Okay. He's going to need that if he wants to make a push. He's now 70 supply behind. Dragon would help him with that, of course. Chopping down his own trees. And we'll see what his play is here. Snoxstar's just getting more ahead. He's on to his 6th base going down as well. He's trying to take the whole top of the map. And we also see the camp advantages in and he sent a bunch of fiends here to scout for any ninja bases on this side of the map. Again, this is a little bit of the case of I'm telling on myself. Sending fiends over here to see if you've got bases over here. Well, that's because I got bases everywhere. A single imp's going to try put a base down, but no, I'm sorry, buddy. There was a fiend there. He turns himself into a farm to try and stay alive, but more fiends go to take him out. And that's going to be a bye-bye. Ooh, actually, that farm's still alive. Okay, gets cancelled. But then the imp's going to go down. And another imp sent this way. He's probably going to go down too. But we do see a major battle starting to brew here at the front gates. And actually, this was a good opening engage. I don't know if too many of those guns went down. A few did. But there's also fiends here who catch a Hellborn out of position. And unfortunately, she goes down. These fiends might get cleaned up as the whole army gets sent to deal with this. There are Fell Hogs over here. We do get a Summon Shroud Stone. And that should be enough to deal with these fiends. Yeah, lots of fiends and Fell Hogs. And now Snoxtar is going to try and push the front. He's here cleaning up effigies. Steals some camps and is heading for the ramp. There's no army to greet him, so he just walks right up the ramp. Huge Plague Breath goes down on all the imps. We're seeing Molten Touch coming from the Hellborns in the back. And it's Gaunts. They're focus firing here. It looks like a lot of the imps went down already. So many cones of flame from the Molten Touch Hellborns. And it's interesting that a lot of Snoxtar's army is just grouped up here on the mineral line, and we saw some flame imps detonate in there. This might actually do alright for TheoRy, although his supply is going down. A huge hits from the Hellborns on his Gaunts, and TheoRy's army is starting to dwindle. He's just got these Hellborn here, and that's going to be a GG, well played out of TheoRy. And that's game 5, taken by Snoxtar in the reverse sweep.